In the high Andes, where the great Amazon is born, vestiges remain of another wave of humans that altered Amazonia. Here, men hunted water, not trees, sought to nurture llama herds and farm fields by changing the shape of nature. 1,000 miles from the Jivaro Achuaras, a Cousteau truck team explores lands settled by the first humans to enter South America in migrations from the north. As anthropologists trace the roots, some groups of Indians dispersed eastward into fertile jungle and adapted to its ways. Others remained in the highlands and devised schemes to coax life from a bleak land. In the isolation of a valley lined by the peaks of the Andes, a chiseled boulder bears mute testimony to humanity's ageless dreams of conquering nature. A model of the mountain slopes around it, the stone records ancient plans for water control. As Jean-Michel Cousteau and Dominique Soumillon see, near the very source of the Amazon River, an elaborate mosaic of canals and terraces has been carved into the mountainsides, turning steep inclines into productive fields. The handiwork that remodeled the initial course of the Amazon was carried out by the Incas, South America's first engineers. Today, across the vast watershed of the Amazon, human ambitions escalate. Nature comes under assault. Rivers are altered, the lush forests they nourish attacked. Yet machines that invade Earth's most formidable jungle often fail, are themselves overcome by a world of tangled vegetation and intricate complexity. As the Cousteau Amazon expedition will see in probing the future of the last great frontier, Amazonia hoards its riches, sometimes rebuffs even modern engineers and massive tools. Will the forest be overwhelmed by the well-equipped new tide of settlers and fortune seekers flooding into it? Or will a proverb of Amazon natives hold true? The gods are mighty, the Indians say, but mightier still is the jungle. Daybreak, nearly 1,000 miles up the Amazon. Aboard Calypso, the Cousteau expedition base, the daily work of discovery in a little-known wilderness begins in rituals known to sailors everywhere. Nearly 300 days into a survey of the world's mightiest river, expedition leader Albert Falco and Captain Cousteau dispatch a Zodiac team to search for a hidden jungle lake. The team penetrates a world where winding rivers lead to unrevealed realms or dead ends, where lush vegetation is enthralling or exasperating. The Amazon's green luxuriance spills from the forest, carpets even river surfaces, making progress impossible without a machete. Obstacle follows obstacle. River levels change unpredictably. Water gives way to mud. Their mission now blocked by jungle and mud, the team radios Calypso for instructions. Cousteau decides to send the ship's helicopter to see if it can render assistance.
For centuries, Amazonia's uncharted forests and rivers have prevailed over human intruders. Stranded in a steamy remoteness, plagued by mud, disease, and an ever-engulfing forest, outsiders abandon their dreams of taming the Amazon. The jungle, they say, is never what it appears to be. But hardships that paralyzed conquistadors on horseback today merely delay men with elaborate machines. Persistence and technology triumph temporarily. In short flights, our team leaps over one barrier while anticipating the next. Our boats, awkward visitors to the domain of eagles and macaws. But for now, the Amazon still dominates. The hidden lake remains concealed by branching rivers and walls of foliage.
Deep in the rainforest, however, the men discover a family living in isolation. Team members Jacques Cousteau and Falco learn that the man is a seringueiro, a rubber collector. Like generations of pioneers and loners before him, he roams the jungle to gather the curious substance that triggered the first great rush to Amazonia a century ago. First extracted by Indians who puzzled over the elastic milk and made toys of it, latex oozes from rubber trees when the outer bark is sliced open. What bleeds beneath the collector's blade is not sap, but a watery fluid in which rubber particles are suspended. The raw material for countless products, latex remains a riddle. Its original function within the rubber tree still unknown. Before carrying his latex to distant buyers, a seringueiro first dries the liquid into a spongy loaf. Spinning for hours over a smoke pit, he builds layer upon layer as the fluid coagulates, painstakingly forming a rubber cake worth about $150. But what today provides a meager livelihood once touched off chaos. Wild rubber was white gold, its only source the Amazon. The invention of the automobile and the pneumatic tire turned rubber, once a mere curiosity, into a precious substance. To feed the furious demands of assembly lines, entrepreneurs and treasure hunters streamed into Amazonia. The rubber boom that ensued rivaled the great gold rushes. Manaus was its capital, a trading post transformed suddenly into a Paris in the jungle, complete with telephones and trolley cars. Wallowing in riches, rubber barons built palatial homes, sent dirty laundry to London, paid the designer of the Eiffel Tower to journey up the Amazon and erect a fish market. Today, only lavish relics of the boom remain. Empty now, the great opera house built of European materials once echoed with the music of Caruso and Jenny Lind. But suddenly, the boom went bust. The rubber trade moved to new plantations in Asia. Manaus was abandoned. Yet the rubber saga continued. Automobile tycoon Henry Ford came to the Amazon, at a site now visited by Jean-Michel and Jacques Cousteau. Like a ghost town today, the operation called Fordlandia was designed to raise rubber on a plot as large as Delaware and compete with those who had smuggled rubber seeds to similar Asian plantations. Ford experimented for 18 years, then gave up, defeated by the Amazon. Ford's closely planted trees suffered from infestations unknown in Asia, suppressed naturally by widely scattered wild rubber trees. When synthetic rubber arrived, the operation languished. Groves that would produce a fortune now provide shade for grazing cattle. "500 miles southwest of Manaus, a rainforest oddity pierces the tropical stillness, evoking memories of another scheme to profit from the jungle. In the guise of a forest conqueror, the iron monster actually grinds out a hollow existence, lone remnant of one of humanity's greatest engineering failures. Led by Raymond Cole, the Cousteau team arrives in Porto Velho, Brazil, site of the Madeira-Mamoré Railroad, a project still remembered as the first great contest between modern man and the Amazon jungle. Today, it is a Sunday afternoon amusement, a place to escape the equatorial heat, to buy a caramel, to pursue the age-old diversions of childhood. The innocence of a weekend outing camouflages a monumental tragedy. Most passengers today are unaware that more people died building this railroad than in any construction project in modern history, including the Panama Canal. Workers came from around the world to perish in the jungle. All that remains is a tourist ride and pigeons carried here by long-dead immigrant workers. Begun in 1872 as rubber fever spread, the railroad would carry a treasure in latex from remote Bolivian jungle to waiting boats in Brazil. American and British engineers scoffed at the challenge, cutting 230 miles through the forest, laying track. But the Amazon retaliated with diseases, shifting rivers, torrential storms, and impenetrable density. The jungle battle that ensued produced staggering casualty figures. 30,000 men hospitalized in only 4 years, 10,000 dead. The contest had turned to all-out war. The forest that engineers vowed to open up in 5 years repulsed human work gangs for 40, humiliating a series of contractors. Diseased, dispirited, workers fled, only to meet new horrors in the trackless jungle. Those who survived repeated a macabre slogan: under each cross-tie, a human skull. They christened it the Railroad of the Dead. In a consummate irony, the very year the railroad was finally completed, the rubber boom ended. With no freight to carry, the line was abandoned, most of the track destroyed, workers' cemeteries turned by plow.
Hello, my friend.
Today, following a casual schedule, a single renovated engine shuttles picnickers and tourists 15 miles and back once a week. An unhurried museum piece carrying little more than the laughter of children. It was the mightiest machine of its day. It was subdued by jungle. Along the Amazon, humans congregate where waters converge. The liquid highways of the tributary network have long offered the only passages through jungle. Villages grow at their intersections. Vessels of every size follow their flow, sustaining life in the interior. For the Peruvian jungle capital of Iquitos, the river is an umbilical cord. Boats and barges cluster at the city's edge, testament to the river's role as an expressway carrying goods to and from Iquitos. Though 150,000 people live in Iquitos, no roads reach the city. Perched on a bank more than 2,000 miles upriver from the sea, Iquitos is fed and fueled by traffic on the Amazon. To the people of Iquitos, the encircling forest is a green sea, their city an inland island. Life is carried out afloat. In small boats move the creations of the baker, raw material for the butcher. To carry their products to market in Iquitos, river people invent elaborate contraptions. One keeps a fisherman's catch fresh. Another is a fruit truck, Amazon style. What Iquitos sells to the outside world is also borne away on the river. No logging roads move timber here. The waters that first nourished the jungle also carry it away. Houseboats pushing barges leave Iquitos bearing jungle produce, manioc, coffee beans, turtle meat. While an endless procession approaches with exotic treasures from a faraway world, vehicles that will roam city streets, soft drinks. At an airport 200 miles east of Iquitos, a Cousteau truck team led by Raymond Cole boards an airplane, the only other transportation system available throughout much of Amazonia. To begin an overland mission, team, truck, and equipment will be flown by the Brazilian Air Force across hundreds of miles of roadless forest. The destination is a new highway system cutting through the jungle, designed to improve upon meandering river routes, convey civilization into the heart of the rainforest. Over several months, the Cousteau trucks will explore the highway and the swift changes it brings. Yet sometimes, where roads meet water, even highway traffic still moves on the river. As Calypso passes nearby, the truck team and ship's crew cross paths on the Xingu River, a major tributary. The amphibious truck called Jacare easily sails from bank to bank. The other vehicles ride a barge, the common means of negotiating rivers not yet spanned by bridges. Leaving his ship by helicopter, Cousteau rendezvous with Cole and the truck team to review plans for the mission ahead and inspect their small convoy. He is most interested in the experimental amphibious truck, capable of 60 miles per hour on land, 7 in water.
Did you visit your home?
Aware that the unpaved Amazon road system can entrap vehicles in mud and seasonal floods, Cousteau sought for his team a versatile Jeep and 2 all-purpose trucks, one amphibious, the other equipped with 6-wheel drive.
As I joined the team for a brief ride, my thoughts turned from our small caravan to the highway itself, already scarred by erosion. We witnessed another monumental contest unfolding between human perseverance and the Amazon's perplexing nature. Men have cut 7,000 miles of dirt roads through the jungle during the last 2 decades. Yet the roadbed gradually washes away in places under Amazonia's relentless rains, no longer bound in place by the trees that held it over the millennia. Here, near civilization, the highway is smooth, the adventure ahead exhilarating. But I wonder what road conditions will challenge our team in the interior. Will they find an avenue to the future or a trail of failure?
The first miles seem easy. Then, abruptly, the team meets the road they will travel for thousands of miles ahead. Now deep in the forest, the team periodically encounters an Amazon roadway bridge. Though the route appears on maps with the bold lines of a superhighway, the reality seems different. The dilemma? Risk crossing the bridge, the only path forward, or turn back, abandon the mission. The 6-ton Jacare will go first. The supply truck Amarillo, 16 tons.
Allez, 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 allez!
1,000 miles down, 6,000 to go. As weeks pass, the Cousteau truck odyssey continues. Often hundreds of miles from civilization, the team finds the ever-present jungle crowding back, repossessing the road. Occasionally, the tangled path leads to water, an opportunity for exploration. Tributaries in the jungle interior are often known only to Indians in dugout canoes. From their unique diving platform, the team descends into a world never entered with mask or camera. Here, even the river seems invaded by jungle, the bottom a reef of fallen limbs. Before diver Arturo Calvo, a small catfish flees. Called acari in Brazil, carachama in Peru, the creature reflects the strange behavior adopted by some species to survive in Amazon waters. Digging with its primitive, armor-covered body, the fish carves a series of caves for itself along the river bottom. Now it frantically searches for shelter along a string of carefully prepared retreats. The brief encounter ends, one swimmer wary of stiff dorsal spines, the other of the creature carrying a piece of the sun. For some in the deep forest, The fish beneath the opaque river surface are living jewels to be gathered. Passed on to dealers, their catch will soon dwell in home aquaria half a world away. Among the captives, diver Calvo finds the species he swam with but an hour before. The harvest of tropical beauty is free, but it entails hidden dangers, including piranhas and electric eels. In bravado and stoicism, the young man accepts his pain in typical Amazon fashion. He laughs. Yet the men know that the battery-like tail organs of a large eel can discharge 800 volts or more, enough to temporarily paralyze a human. During the second month of the truck journey, the rainy season arrives. The dusty washboard road gradually softens under daily cloudbursts into an endless strip of water and mud. During the Amazon's 6-month wet season, the highway that is a lifeline to people in the forest becomes nearly impassable. A 3-day trip normally can turn into a 6-week nightmare. The slush entraps even rescuers. The tractor was summoned to extricate a truck. The rains that mire highway traffic also inflict wounds on the highway itself. Torrential storms gouge away landfills. Bereft of the forest umbrella, roadway turns to empty gully. The government that opened the highway now cannot afford to pave it or repair it, making uncertain the future of still another scheme to invade the Amazon. Along a road bank like frail monuments, tiny pillars of soil sheltered by pebbles offer evidence of the victories by the pelting rain. Despite its problems, the highway remains for some a modern Chisholm trail. In the southern Amazon state of Rondonia, as large as West Germany, the team encounters a scene from the American Old West. Driven to market, the cattle leave vast ranches where forest has been leveled for pasture. The virgin territory that draws cattlemen to Rondonia also beckons to homesteaders. In the frontier town of Vilhena, a tide of hopeful settlers arrives, encouraged by Brazil's planners to seek free land in the Amazon. Like farmers throughout the ages, the homesteaders clear their lands and plant crops. But many find Amazonia's frequently poor soil unproductive, its unrelenting rainfall oppressive, its diseases a threat to young families.
Emigrante, ¿dónde viene?
Rio Grande do Sul.
As Raymond Cole learns, settler Otilio Kramer has come to the Amazon from Rio Grande do Sul, a densely populated area of southern Brazil. He received title to a plot of land, but the soil was bad, so he gave up and moved here.
No.
Now he is a squatter, bereft of ownership papers. To strengthen his claim, he clears trees, plants cassava and pineapple. I have to stay here now, he says. I have no other choice. variations on the story abound. To relieve population problems, Amazon governments send their urban poor with little farm experience to settle the jungle. Successful or not, they slowly rid the land of its trees. Director of Brazil's Amazon Research Institute, Dr. Enrique Bergamin, seeks less harmful development.
The main question that people would like to know, is it at all possible to exploit this forest and at the same time to preserve it?
Yes, we believe so. You see, what we are trying to press on the people, on the government, is that the vocation of this land, of this ecosystem, is perennial trees, not annual crops.
What do you think of the future of the Várzea for the mass production of rice?
Yes, production of food, not only rice. I believe that the only place where you can have a very good production of food is Várzea.
Now the site of rice-growing experiments, the Várzea is a water-soaked floodplain along the flanks of the Amazon. Little used, rich in nutrients, as large as Austria, it could produce a rice bonanza. Agroeconomist Francisco Andrade is optimistic.
It seems to me that the efficiency that you are getting out of those rice fields and the vastness of the Várzea, of the area that is flooded every year, if appropriate investments were made, Brazil could feed the world in rice.
I agree with you entirely. From a purely technical point of view, it's very feasible.
The Várzea may hold the Amazon bounty sought for centuries, not to carve from the jungle, but to harvest from the mud. Food without forest destruction.
You see, 50% of the water that's raining here comes from the ocean.
Yeah.
And 50% comes from the evapotranspiration of the forest.
Yes.
Meaning that if you cut the forest, you will lose this evapotranspiration.
Half of Amazonia's rainfall has risen as vapors from the trees. To the north, moisture streams widely. But the Amazon recycles its waters, tree to cloud to tree. To cut the trees is to kill the rain.
Near the Amazon Delta, Captain Cousteau and pilot Bob Braunbeck set out to investigate a tract of jungle that could hold a key to Amazonia's future. Seemingly untouched, it offers a surprise. Over a forested ridge, the men see an industrial island locked away in the jungle. Beyond the smokestacks, only charred relics remain of a forest once rich in 400 tree species, now replanted with seedlings of only 3. The transformed forest below is part of what was, until recently, the largest piece of land in the world owned by a single man, a plot larger than the state of Connecticut. At its center, the biggest paper pulp plant of its kind in the world sprawls in jungle isolation, beyond the reach of any road. It is called Jari, the largest tropical forestry operation on Earth. Accompanied by Jari's directors, Cousteau inspects what some call a model for the Amazon's future. Here, nearly 5,000 tons of wood are consumed each day to produce 750 tons of paper pulp, eventually to become books, filters, tissues. Jari was created by American Daniel K. Ludwig, who bought the land in 1967, then spent approximately $1 billion developing it. Yet, abruptly, in 1982, he sold Jari.
One question comes to my mind that I don't know if you can answer it because it's very personal, but why the hell did Mr. Ludwig abandon this project? Because it seems a fabulous project. What happened to him?
For Daniel Ludwig, Jari had been a consuming passion for 15 years. he spent $250 million building the pulp plant and a power generator in Japan. Then, in 1978, floated them as barges all the way to the Amazon. Too large to fit through the Panama Canal, the 17-story plant was towed across 3 oceans. The project was unprecedented. After a visionary career that included the invention of the supertanker, Ludwig, then America's richest man, would carry a steel leviathan around the world to take on Earth's most forbidding jungle. The trip took 87 days, crossed 17,000 miles, from an industrial center equipped with every tool known to man, across the planet to a virgin jungle where neither workers nor materials existed to fashion such a factory. It was the largest thing ever to sail the Amazon. To people of the jungle, it looked like an entire city coming up the river. When the plant arrived, Ludwig expected to open Amazonia as a world paper source. Yet, as Calypso arrives, the success or failure of Jari is still debated. The ship docks at a plant now owned by a consortium of Brazilian companies, which look for the profits Ludwig never found. His grand plan had met serious problems. The thin jungle soil was compacted by his heavy machinery. Ludwig experimented with machines and tree varieties, but the government chose not to build a hydroelectric dam on Jari property. Ludwig had to use a substantial portion of his plantation and the cleared native trees merely to fuel his plant. Finally, when promised land titles were withheld, he gave up, losing perhaps $750 million on his dream.
Before me, a symbol of human audacity rises. The luxurious forest, once prowled by jaguars and draped in orchids, dries in the sun, ground into a lifeless mountain of wood chips. The fragrance of the woods drifts away in the wind. The storm of flakes carries away the land's vitality, nutrients locked in the jungle trees, not in its soil. To help assess Jari's future, Dr. Howard Odum, a renowned ecologist studying world energy systems, joins us. Amazonia's prodigious trees feed upon themselves, quickly recirculating their chemistry of life, from dead leaf to root to limb to leaf. The forest remains rich, the soil below poor. What logging saws clear away is the ancient fertility of the jungle. Gradually, an opulence of species evolved since prehistoric times gives way to a vastly simplified forest for profit.
It's about 35 meters.
35 meters.
Watch for snakes. Well, that's some of the sun leaves. Notice how curled they are and smaller, thicker. And they have most of the photosynthesis done up on top in these guys.
In the thin soil beneath the native jungle, we see the intricate mat of roots that sustains rainforest luxuriance.
That's what makes the nutrients go round and round. Why it does so well. You pour radioisotopes on top, and it doesn't come through. It goes right back up the tree. So, there's more of this in the Amazon than there are in other lowland forests. Look at all those roots. Pretty stuff, isn't it? See here? So, when that's gone, the nutrients gone.
Questions abound. Will Jari's orderly new forests flourish? Or will the soil be exhausted in a few years, needing costly fertilizers? Should Jari, its success unproven, be copied elsewhere in the Amazon?
One of the reasons this project is so fascinating is that the world talks about what would happen if we were running on total solar energy. And you're actually almost doing it here. And one of the toughest questions is, can a plant like this run if the virgin forest wood they're using to heat the plant with runs out? It's a good, tough question. They'll have to bring in something else, coal or oil, if the... see the heat.
They had a wonderful project of making a dam on the Jari River to get natural power.
Jari's fate may hinge on the river crossing it. The surging waters, if dammed by a now reluctant government, could power Jari's plant, perhaps ensure success. Where power lines lead, industry can follow. The vines of electricity strung through jungle south of Belém are a sign of impending change, of the energy potential from Amazon waters. To generate power and open up Amazonia, Brazil now erects on the Tocantins River the fourth largest dam in the world. As Richard Murphy and scientist Mark Brown watch, the Tucuruí Dam nears completion, soon to create enough power for scores of factories. Damming Amazon tributaries, Brazil dreams of becoming the Saudi Arabia of hydropower, bringing a flood of people to the jungle, encouraging fortune hunters to scour the lands hidden beneath the Amazon's elaborate blanket of life. Already, a lode of extraordinary mineral riches has been found south of Tucuruí. The Carajás mining complex is a mountain of nearly pure iron, contains 7% of all Earth's iron ore, mixed with a dozen other valuable minerals. Some Brazilian planners foresee the expanding project spawning Pittsburghs in the jungle.
This production, 35 million tons a year, it will, to finish with all this deposit, to take all this iron ore over, it will take more than 400 years.
Hungry for resources, armed this time with massive tools, the human engineer again takes on the jungle. Miners, foresters, dispossessed families stream inexorably into the last great frontier. Will ancient forests prevail, or smokestacks? For Cousteau, scientists Odom and Brown make a century-long computer forecast using present trends. Growth surges as highways arrive. Cities radiate into jungle. Soon, nearly half of Amazonia is developed. Yet then, the scientists expect, growth will peak as resources reach limits. Well-managed forests could survive. In a world of disappearing fossil fuels, an unspoiled Amazon could be the next century's paradise of solar energy. After thousands of miles of mud and sweltering jungle, the Cousteau team nears civilization and the end of their mission. Been the most ambitious modern expedition into Amazonia. Now the teams converge on Belém, the Amazon's gateway to the ocean. Equipment will be shipped back. Men of the sea who navigated a jungle sent home at last. As the truck journey comes to an end at the Belém market, beyond, another journey begins. Calypso's team now departs the world's mightiest river. Laden with scientific samples to analyze, film to process, the ship turns seaward again. Yet for her crew and scientists, the work of discovery continues. The river's immense outpouring penetrates far into the ocean, enriches currents streaming northward. The team's studies will help gauge the effect of this massive freshwater root system on the ocean itself.
For 18 months, the river Colossus has mesmerized us. 1,000 arteries bearing Andean dust and jungle fertility toward the sea, the world's blood system. Ahead, Amazon and ocean converge. Old friends accompany us across a liquid border into a familiar realm, where no trees tower, no eyes hide among leaves. The dolphins dance in the sun, and life is perpetually reborn. Like the Amazon itself, we come home to the sea.